This week's parsha has the Tzivui of Torah Aduma, the quintessential chok. Like this is like the ultimate example of chukim, which is the aspect of Torah that we supposedly don't understand, as if we understand, Eidos and Mishpatim. Right, as Rashi says, right, the beginning of Parsha is correctly quoted. It's one of the things that the Goyim tease us about. And Kodesh Baruch Hu says it's a chukah, and which means we're not allowed to second guess it. So before we get into it a little bit more, but there's Rashi later on in the parsha first works through the pshutim in the psukim in the simple pshat halachically, and then he does a second round on the psukim again, working through them allegorically. And what's the theme over there? The theme over there is, starts off with a mashal. A kid poops in a king's palace. The mother's got to come clean it up, right? Am Yisrael did, the kid that pooped is the ego, right? The mother, the para, right? The cow has to clean up her son's poop, right? And, that's the opening line, and he reworks the psukim again, all somehow alluding to cheta ego. So the question is, we'll start from there. What does para aduma have to do with cheta ego? That in this way, the paradum is somehow a tikkun for the cheta ego. Aside from the technical aspect, there's a very technical relationship that Chazal tell us. Yisrael Shamdu Har Sinai Paska Zuamasan. When they stood at Har Sinai, they attained the level of Adam Rishon Karmachet Zuama. The contamination of Chet Rishon was vanquished, right? And they could have lived forever. Right, but because of the cheta ego, now they became mortal again, and that's what Chazal darshan pasuk. Ani amarti Elohim atem was by Mamad Har Sinai. Achen ka'adam tamusanu kachar asran tipolu. You're still going to die like man. That's as a result of the cheta ego. So there's definitely a technical connection that the cheta ego caused misa, death, to make a comeback, and that's why you need para aduma to cope with the problem of tumas meis. Right, but to get a little bit deeper. There's a very interesting kuzri. The Sefer Kuzri is built as a dialogue between a rabbi and a king. And, he, as Rabbi Yehuda Halevi writes in the introduction to the book, this is to defend the downtrodden religion, and he doesn't hold back any punches. Tells the king already from the beginning, we're Skul Asadam, we're the master race. He says it right from the get-go, and how Am Yisrael is so special, and the Torah is so special, and Torah is given in front of 600,000 male, let alone the women and children, and we were chosen because we're just better than you are, right? So the king asked them like this: if you guys are so hot, how is it that after this Mamad Har Sinai that you're talking about, which is like incontrovertible proof that there is a God, just 40 days later, right? You made the golden calf, right? As I can say, you guys are so great. It sounds like pathetic to me. That's right. That's what the king asked him. So the rabbi answers something very interesting. He says, it's not what you think. Right? He says like this, why do you think they made the ego? They did it to serve God. And the kuzis from those Rishonim that learn that the parshas of Truma and Tetzaveh are in the proper order, i.e. they were said or related to Bnei Yisrael before parshas Kisisa. That is, that they were told in advance, before Moshe Rabbeinu left them to go up to the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, he promised them a Mishkan. And the function of a Mishkan, that all the Rishonim agree to, is that, serving God, who's, infinite, so abstractly, is too hard, especially having grown up in a pagan society like Egypt, with all these graven images. It's too hard. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu did a chesed with us, right? And he was going to give us a Mishkan. And avodah of Korbanos, to make avodas Hashem a lot like, what we're used to, right? What we were used to, whether it's Korbanos, but also there would be images. There would be graven images that it's mutter to bow towards, even though you don't accept them as God. Like, imagine if, this both the Rambam and the Kuzri say this, imagine if we would outlaw having an Aron Kodesh, right? You bow towards an Aron Kodesh, that's a graven image. It would be very hard to relate to, serving God with nothing, right? There has to be certain symbols that are sanctioned, to give us focus, right? And the Mishkan was divinely, sanctioned. It's mutter. The kruvim, these things are mutter, right? And these are the images that God gave us to help the Avodas Hashem be institutionalized in a way that mankind could relate to, instead of serving an infinite God in a totally abstract way. In the words of the Rambam, imagine if you can only daven with thought and not allowed to use your mouth. Right? Can't relate. Right? So Am Yisrael knew that there would be such a thing as a Mishkan before Moshe Rabbeinu went up. So they made a cheshbon like this. They were worried Moshe Rabbeinu got lost up there. He didn't come down on time by their calculation. They made a simple cheshbon. Right? You see that if you make a graven image, l'shem shamayim, it's mutter. Right? Because what's the lumbus of the Mishkan? Right? It's full of graven images. Right? And, but it must be that if you do it, l'shem avodas Hashem, it must be mutter. That was their cheshbon. They were mistaken. It was a lumdusha mistake. Because what's matir the Mishkan is not the intent that you're doing it l'shem shamayim. What's matir the Mishkan is the tzivui, is actually the divine command that God demanded. Because he asked you to do it. That's what makes it mutter. Because God told you to do it. It's not the intent l'shem shamayim that makes it mutter. It's the divine decree. There is something similar to this. I'll just mention by the wayside. If not for the fact that the Torah commanded us to do a sir la'azazel, it would be avodah zara mamish. Sir la'azazel is technically a carbon to the Satan. That's what it is. Right? If you understand what it represents. Right? It's not only mutter, but mamish and avodah, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded us to do it. And that was their mistake. It was a very lumdusha mistake. They thought that the intent l'shem shamayim makes the graven images mutter, right? And they were mistaken. It's not the intent l'shem shamayim, it's the tzivui, right? And therefore, the Kuzri says very adamantly, they were not over on the Isra of lo yalcha Elohim acherem al panai, which is the prohibition of believing in other gods. They did not believe in other gods. They only believed in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They were over on the Isra of lo sasel chapeso. Right? And even the Isra of making graven images, that was their Isra, not Avodah Zarah, but rather making graven images. And therefore, in matter of fact, even their sin shows that they were mechaven l'shem shamayim. That's what the Kuzri answers the king.
It says Eila lehecha Yisrael.
Right.
In reference to the Egel Azor.
Right. So he quotes Azariah that they thought they're serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? Absolutely. That's the way he understands. All right, so it comes out that the nakuda of their mistake was taking matters into their own hands to reduce the Torah to a way that human beings could relate. That was their intention. We want to make this relatable, right? So they make the egel a shem shamayim. It makes it relatable. Why an egel? There's a lot of reasons in Chazal, but we'll just quote one, right? Egel sucks, right? They want to make the egel as a way of sucking the shefa from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We want to bring down bracha. The egel is yonik, it sucks, right? That was, they had that and other kavanas in mind, but all for avodas Hashem, not different than what we say that from the base of Mikdash, bracha comes down to the whole world. But the mistake is that you cannot make Judaism relatable to the human mind, except when the Torah itself sanctioned it. There's some things that the Torah gave in to us, as it were, like the avod of Karbanis, like the tzuras that there are in the Mishkan, but where the Torah gave in to you, and made it, itself commanded to do things in a manner that you could relate to, that's fine, right? But you're not allowed to take matters into your own hands, right? When the things are, thing in a manner that you cannot relate, you have to steig to understand the Torah. That's the Torah challenging you to change your perceptions and readjust your perceptions to what the Torah wants. And the Torah has the license to pick and choose what it made relatable to man and what it demands of man to rise up to. So Midah keneged Midah, right? Am Yisrael, took matters into their own hands, made the ego to reduce divinity to a relatable form. HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes with a mitzvah you can't understand, right? You try to reduce it to dat and noshit, to human intelligence. I'm going to give you a mitzvah that you can't wrap your head around. Right? And you're going to have to live with it. And you have to accept it. There's a gzera chukah chakakti, gzera gazarti, rashay lahai or acharai. You're not allowed to second guess me because you tried to refashion Judaism, even though you did it l'shem shamayim, to make it relatable to the human mind. I'm going to give you mitzvahs that you can never get your head around. Right? So this is an amazing thing. Right? Why this expresses itself in Hilchos Tumah V'Tara. Right, that this mitzvah that we can't relate to, right, is a mitzvah has to do with tumas meis, Right? It's an amazing thing. The Gemara says in Shabbos Daf Lamed Aleph, it darshans this Shisha Sidrei Mishnah from the pasuk V'haya emunas itecha chosin yeshuas chachma v'das yiras Hashem yotzaro emunas itecha chosin yeshuas chachma das is the Shisha Sidrei Mishnah. Das ze Seder Taras. Seder Taras, the halachas of Tum and Tara are called das, right? Connection, right? Das, aside from das, is in knowledge, right? And perception. We also know that das in the biblical sense means to be connected, right? And there's an amazing point here, right? To know, as I say, to know is to love, right? And we find it already in the Torah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says about Avraham Avinu, ki yadativ, ki ahavtiv. Because to know something is to be connected to it in your mind and heart. That's the most intimate connection, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted, the goal of the Torah, right, is to give us a connection with the infinite. So of course, there's going to be aspects of the Torah that are going to be too hard for the human mind to contain initially, but you could climb the ladder, right? Gradually, climb the ladder of the Torah and change your perception and go from Das and Oshis, which that we don't have time to fully explain, but the Das and Oshis, the human intelligence that we have in our skulls, is from the Eitz Hadas Tov V'Ra, right? And we got to get past that. And we got to get to Das Torah, which is besod the Eitz HaChaim, Eitz Chaim L'Machazikiba. We got to break out of Das, human intelligence, which is Das Tov V'Ra, which we got through the Eitz Hadas Tov V'Ra, and use the Torah to climb, to have HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Das, to have Das Torah, the Das of the Eitz HaChaim. Right? And now, the guiding principle in Tumah, in Tahara, there's one main principle that all the halachas, rotate on. HaMechuber LaTahar Tar, HaMechuber LaTamei Tamei. What are you connected to? Right? If you're connected to Tahara, right, if something is, like a mikvah, the water never got separated from its natural source. It's mitahir, right? Mayim she'uvim, it got separated, right? Right? First thing I ever learned from my Rebbe, Moshe Shapiro. The word tumah, what's the root of the word? Tumah, what's the root of the word? Tameh, the root, the shorish. Tam, tet mem, means sealed. Like tamun, right? Like tamun is to bury something, right? Tamun, hidden, right? Sealed off. A tumtum. Tumtum, it's sealed off. His genitals are sealed off. You don't know, right? A mitumtam, as we say in Ivrit, right? A mitumtam, right? Is an idiot, right? Mind's blocked, right? Tumah is to be blocked off, right? Right? Tara, my Rebbe explained, is miloshin what the Targum Yerushalmi says on sohar ta'aseh la-teva. Make a window in the teva. The Targum Yerushalmi says sohar tihara. It's a window. Tihara. To be connected, right? There is no gap. There's nothing sealing you off, right? When we fall into human intelligence without bridging it to das elyon, that's called tumah. That's called you are mitumtam, right? You're cut off. You're sealed off from the divine, right? Tumah always works in sevens. You look at all the interesting halachas of tumah, even in this week's parasha, always in sevens. The maximum to be tumah is 7 days. Right? Tumah works in sevens, like the natural world. Like the days of the week, because when you're stuck in the natural, there's no such as being tummy for 8 days.
Shiva Nakim.
Shiva Nakim, it always works when you come to the 8th, you're always Torah again. Right? When you start the Torah process. And it's not, Valo Dovarhu, because the Metzias of Tumah is to be stuck in Gashmis, stuck in human intelligence, and sealed off from Ruchnias. When you talk about 8th, in Kabbalah and in Jewish philosophy, you talk about 8th, 9th, you're talking about being, the 7 of the 7 days a week, the 7 of nature is connected to something higher. And that's where there is Tahara. Right? Right? And now that's why the Torah, right, the Torah, which is supposed to take us beyond, was given on the 50th day, after 7 times 7, which is all the details of 7, breaking through to the 8th. That's what Bris Milah is about. Right? It's all about breaking through from the physical to the spiritual. Right? But if you're stuck in the physical, that's called that you're tameh, you're metumtam, you're tamun, you're sealed off from the higher reality. And Torah is supposed to take us higher. To wrap it up, the idea, of im b'chukosai telechu, right? Shetiu amelim b'Torah. So it's Sfas Emes asked the question, right? We learn Amestor from Chukim in B'chukosai telechu. Right? Why chukim? It should say im mishpatai telechu, because mishpatim, which is like dinei mominus, there's a lot more svaras. You would think Amelus has a lot more to do, right, with mishpatim than with chukim. So the Sfas Emes says his answer, but I want to propose my own and say like this: the whole reason why there's a special halacha of Amelus Batar. There's no halacha of Amelus in physics, Amelus in chemistry, Amelus in biology, Amelus in parnasa, right? If you could do it easy, do it easy. All right, you do the cliff notes, whatever it is. If you could pass the test with less, there's no reason to work harder, right? And really, right? 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 You get the desired result. Why do you have to work hard? And there's some type of halacha in Torah, in Hilchos Talmud Torah, halacha v'lamaisa, right? That Torah is not nicknamed that Misha Misrapelem. You have to work hard. No matter how bright you are, you still have to work hard. Why? Why? Because bechukosai telechu, right? Because Torah be'etzem is chukim. Even the mishpatim have an aspect of chok to them. What's chok? Chok means engraved. Chukos shamayim v'aretz lo samti, right? Chok, there's like laws that are legislated. You make them up in Congress. The artificial man-made laws, there's nothing more to them than the svara that went into legislating them. There's nothing more to them than that. But the natural laws, like gravity, for instance, logic is only used to describe it. Logic doesn't encompass what is. We use and that's why our theory of gravity has been updated countless of times throughout our scientific history. Aristotle explained it one way. Newton explained it differently. Einstein explained it differently, and we're still not done. We're constantly refining because logic is only a tool to define reality. Reality is bigger than the mind. We use the mind as a tool to try to describe reality. Legislated law, there's nothing more to the law than whatever svara they had when they made up the law. But the natural laws are realities. Logic is only a tool to try to describe them. The Torah, should you compare it to the laws of Congress, or should you compare it to the laws of physics? Which type of law? These are called laws and those are called laws. What type of law is Torah law? Right? Like physics. It's staku bo raisa bar. It's even more real than the physical laws. Even if by the physical laws, man is constantly updating his understanding. Because reality is bigger than the mind. Even physical reality is bigger than the mind. Kol shkein the Torah, which is even above physical reality. So that means Torah be'etzem, even the mishpatim of Torah have a chok aspect to them. They are spiritual realities. So our das and noshis is just at best a bridge and a stepping stone to try to understand it. Because Torah's be'etzem chukim, you're never done understanding it. And your only hope to grasp it is try to push past your comfort zone. Because it doesn't fit naturally on the natural mind, because it's from the supernatural, it's from the heavens. Even the mishpatim are chukim in their essence. They are realities HaKadosh Hu engraved. And that's why there's halacha, b'chukosai telechu. You have to be omel bator. You have to kill yourself learning. And it appears in this week's parasha, Zol Satorah, Adam ki yom spoil. You have to even kill yourself learning. The Amelus is to the point that you're about to pass out. Right? Because Torah is above human intelligence, like we said, and that's what paraduma sticks in our face, that Torah is a lot bigger than where your mind reaches, and that's why you have to stretch your mind to understand the Torah, because the Torah is there to change your perceptions, to replace Das Tovara with the Das of Yetz Chaim, the Das of Torah.